Chinese manufacturing is, in many ways, the envy of the world. Almost everything these days, from teacups to toasters to tracksuits, seems to bear the Made in China mark. But in the past couple of years, the industry has come under pressure like never before. Wages have risen, demand has cooled, and banks have stopped lending. So can Chinese factories stay competitive? We went to Guangdong to find out what some companies are doing to stay ahead of the game. It's midday at the KTC textile factory in Heshan, on the banks of the Pearl River, China's factory heartland. As the bell sounds for lunch, 3,500 workers make their dash for the canteen. Austrian-owned KTC started producing basic garments here in Heshan in the early 1980s, making it one of the first foreign-owned factories in China. But about 6 years ago, the company decided it needed to move up the value chain if it was to have a future.
We're involved over the past 30 years into a high-tech operation, being capable now from doing a running short till a fairly sophisticated dry suit for rescue missions on the ocean.
The story is similar at KTC's sister company, Rondor Housewares. There, a factory which started out selling cheap whisks now makes expensive kitchen goods like knives and tin openers for high-end European brands. That journey up the value chain is one that many other Chinese manufacturers will soon have to make too, provided they can get access to the cash needed to invest. In the past few years, wages in China have risen rapidly. At Rondor, labour costs have doubled in the past 2 years alone.
In the low value-added areas, there are regional competitors like Vietnam or Sri Lanka. So Chinese companies are not going to be competitive all the time in those areas. Actually, I see Chinese companies to exit from those kind of products in future years. So I think it's really a preemptive step, or even a fourth step for Chinese companies. They really have to move that direction. Otherwise, the export sector won't stay competitive.
Although some low-cost industries are already moving out of southern China, either overseas or inland, rising wages will not sound the death knell for the region's manufacturers. Aside from Guangdong's world-class infrastructure, the province also has a significant advantage when it comes to people. At KTC, some employees, like Wu Baoming, have been with them since day one.
1981年刚进来的时候去做那个切衣服，后来1988年出来做那个管理，在这里做了30年，这生产里面的经理。
Managers at both factories say it's the expertise of the staff, more than anything else, that keeps them from moving away.
All our management, senior staff is local. So if we move the factory somewhere to Indochina, North China, all our knowledge won't come with us, because they come from this area and they won't move with the factory. So it would mean we basically, if we move, we would have to go back to the simple products we started 30 odd years ago.
The experience of both KTC and Rondor is something the Chinese government would like to see repeated. Higher incomes should help boost domestic consumption, essential if China is to wean its economy off floundering foreign demand and potentially wasteful investment. And while the move towards higher margin products has led some to ask if China might eventually lose its edge, with jobs moving back to the US or to Europe, there are some things that only China can offer.
We forced the business out of operation in Europe 25 years ago. To kickstart this kind of business again in a short term is impossible. To get these large quantities which are currently produced in Asia back to Europe is, for me personally, a mission impossible.
Chinese manufacturers are undoubtedly under pressure. Rising labour costs and falling demand from the West are already putting many of them out of business. But for those with the capital and the know-how to move up the value chain, a future in southern China looks secure. Josh Noble, Financial Times, Heshan.